I'm really excited to bring you this Moon Knight guide because my goal is simple, to take your Moon Knight gameplay to the next level. And once we break down his abilities, damage, the mechanics, everything's going to start to click. You're going to know exactly what you should be doing, and we're going to be viewing Moon Knight slightly differently, at least from how you see him played. It feels like a lot of Moon Knight players are missing key parts of his kit, and once you understand what's really going on under the hood, there should be a light bulb moment. And also, he should be used when you see certain enemies on the other team, because he's a hard counter, like to Loki, or in the opening moments of the video, a rocket or a Jeff on top of a Groot. It destroys them. His attacks and abilities are deceptively deep, and once you fully grasp the mechanics, I'm about to go in depth into them, how each attack flows, you start playing to his strengths, it'll completely change the way you approach him. And that comes from his playstyle, what you should be doing. And as always, that's going to be covered in the last part of the guide. There's a core play loop to follow, and if you follow it, I can all but guarantee you're going to have better games. But is it just about dealing more damage and having high kill games? It's about playing smarter, cleaner, and unlocking the true potential of the character. Moon Knight's primary attack is Crescent Dart. And again, it's deeper than it looks. It travels at 150 meters a second. This is buffed from the previous 120 meters a second. He throws a triple burst of these darts. They fire rapidly. 3 darts back to back to back with just 0.05 seconds between each one. They can bounce between enemies and Ankhs, dealing damage as they go. So you can fire them with a rhythm or your positioning. So if you're standing still, they're going to come out back to back to back, just in a straight line, making it easier to land all 3 on a single target, especially at range. When you're strafing, there's a little spread. That 0.05 second delay between each dart reduces your accuracy a little bit. But each full volley, each 3 darts that come out, there's an attack interval of 0.5 seconds before you can shoot the next round. He goes to his other hand. Each dart deals 25 damage and can crit. So a full shot to the body is 75 damage. A full shot to the head is 150. The effective range is 30 meters before it starts dropping off, and then it falls to 50% at 50 meters. So long range poke is a little bit weaker. Then we get into the bounce mechanic. They bounce between enemies, your Ankh. There's a total of 3 bounces. And for the bounces to trigger, there needs to be at least 2 targets, and the Ankh could be a target. The max bounce distance between each target is 7 meters, and every time it bounces and hits something, they lose 20% damage. So your positioning and target choice matter. You don't want to be far away, really. So how this works, let's say you fire at enemy A, and it starts bouncing between enemy A and enemy B. The first hit on A is 75 damage, that's full damage, but the bounce, when it goes to enemy B, they're dealt 60. It bounces back to A for 48, and it bounces back to B for 38. So each bounce keeps losing 20% damage. The final totals, just from one volley, the main target is dealt 123 damage, the secondary target is dealt 98 damage, the 60 and 38. And say you land a headshot on the first one, the 150 crit plus the bounce is 198 to the main target, and then 98 to the secondary target. When there's multiple enemies, the dart's just going to chain between all 3. And the last bounce, it's going to go to whichever one is closest to the final one that was hit. So the spread of damage becomes wider. It's really efficient if the enemies are clumped up and grouped up, because you can just rapid fire these things off. So it does shine with grouped enemies, obviously. When they're stacked up, they're pushed into choke points, they're on a zone. And whether you yourself are high ground or ground level, they're best used on the biggest target, the tanks, the frontliners, because they're the easiest to hit and helps guarantee the bounce chains. So you always do want to be looking for bounce potential. If 1 or 2 enemies are close together, it's going to melt the group and it sets up the rest of your kit beautifully. And these hits get you your ultimate so fast. His ultimate is only 2,800 energy cost. All this group bouncing really expedites the ultimate. We'll talk about it later. But understand how and where the Crescent Dart bounces is critical. The first target, your main target, takes the most damage, the second a little less. And also know you've left the Ankh behind. And since it directly interacts with your Ankh, it's a big part of your kit, we're about to cover it next, the playstyle starts to take shape. Because this primary spam is the most damage this attack can do. Since the Ankh isn't there, it's bouncing enemies, not bouncing with the Ankh. The Ancient Ankh. You fire the Ankh, it launches enemies up within a radius towards the center. This is your E on controller's top right bumper. It's your bread and butter. It's what makes Moon Knight, the most important ability by far. And because it's so essential, it needs to be used with intention. The Ankh has a 12-second cooldown, so you don't just throw it out randomly. If you do that, it's going to get destroyed. You use it when the situation calls for it. When you throw the Ankh, it creates a 7-meter spherical radius. Anything inside this zone can be used for bounces. On activation, it also has a 5-meter pull-in, a pull range. So it knocks enemies up and slightly towards the center. And anyone caught within that launch range takes 20 damage. Now, it's not a full CC like stunning ultimates, but it does interrupt abilities. That's important to know. Like, let's say a Wolverine is diving in with a Feral Leap, or maybe he's in Feral Leap on a tank. If he's in that pull range, you'll knock him right out of it. Or maybe a Venom. They like to get into your front line, take a lot of damage. They pop their overshield, they get out. Well, when they're trying to get away, you can stop that too. It CCs them out of the ability. And that can make it a pretty powerful anti-dive tool. If a Spider-Man, Black Panther, this can throw off their combo when you throw that Ankh on them. Just throw it at your feet or throw it on a support that needs peel. It disrupts them, and it sets you up for follow-up damage because the Ankh's there. Now, as mentioned earlier with the Crescent Dart, the Ankh also counts as a valid bounce target. But here's what matters. The Ankh obviously does not take damage. It just exists as a point for your darts to ricochet. So, in that two-target situation, one of the, quote, targets is the Ankh, the damage sequence changes. So you hit the Ankh for 75, well, it takes no damage, but it does bounce to an actual enemy. That one gets the 60 damage and so on. So the other enemy, just with one dart, you deal 98 damage to them. So using the Ankh means you're trading raw damage output for reliability. Using the Ankh is guaranteed that you have bounce potential. It's easy to shoot, so that comes at the cost of your total damage output. That's fine. On the flip side, you can still use this Ankh and try to maximize your damage if you place it next to an enemy and then hit the enemy first, because it's back into enemy A territory, meaning the Ankh is the second bounce, not the first, and you get that 123 damage on them. It's not necessary, not at all. Don't even really worry about it. It's best used from high ground, and Moon Knight's kit has a lot of movement. There's two movement tools that are reliably going to be there. And while you're above enemies, you gain precision and angle control, and those are critical for lining up effective bounces and knockups. Because on ground level, it's harder to position the Ankh properly. You're more likely to misplace it, have it immediately destroyed, and there's going to be times where you throw from ground level, but most of the time you want to be up high, because the ideal placement is a little bit behind the enemy. That way, they're going to get pulled back and up, and it's either going to be really close to them or they're going to be facing away from it. Because if you throw it in front of them, they know that it's there and they're immediately going to spot it and destroy it. So it's kind of wasting your cooldown. The best that you can, the Ankh needs to stay alive to do its job, so try to get it behind them. But a lot of Moon Knights just kind of toss it in the middle of a fight and it gets deleted and nothing really happens. That's a huge waste. Don't do that. As we go on here, just in summary, keep in your mind that it is your most important ability. You need to use it wisely. It's on a 12-second cooldown, so that means you can't waste it. It can be used as anti-dive, disruption, or bounce anchor. It's best from high ground. That gives you more control and better value. And placing it behind someone is the best scenario to keep it alive the longest. That way you can get more bounces off. And again, yes, you're going to lose some damage by bouncing off the Ankh, but you gain consistency and setup potential. And there's going to be more on specific placements and usage in the playstyle section. Moonblade is your right click, left trigger, launch a Moonblade that bounces between enemies and Ankhs, dealing damage. This is your secondary projectile, your secondary attack. And it's also your second spam tool. You already spammed the Crescent Darts, but you want to be spamming these as well. It's on a 6-second cooldown, and the projectile is massive, it's huge. It's so big that means if you aim slightly off, it's still going to hit the target. It feels like Storm's Windblade. It deals 80 damage and it can crit, so it's capable of a 160 damage headshot, and not a lot of people think about that. And since the projectile is so large, you need to aim slightly higher than you think for headshots. Now, do you need to be going for headshots? No, not at all, not necessarily. But you just need to know that here sits a very powerful potential 160 damage burst to a headshot if you need it. It's there. And this thing follows the same exact rules as the Crescent Dart. The fall begins at 30 meters, dropping into 50% at 50. It bounces 3 times, and the bounce damage drops by 20% per bounce, just like the darts. The first hit is 80, it starts bouncing, then it goes to 64, 51, and 41. So if you're targeting one enemy and it's bouncing off of another enemy, target A is dealt 131 damage, target B is 105, just from this Moonblade. Then you put that together with a Crescent Dart. All it is left click, right click, back to back. The main target is dealt 254 damage. The secondary target's 203. So that's a massive burst. And if you catch squishies that are close together, the combo melts them instantly. And another reason why you want to be spamming it is they added in a new mechanic. You now gain 25 bonus health for each enemy hit, up to 100 bonus health max. After 3 seconds without increasing, it starts to fall off at 20 per second, but the keyword here is hit, not bounce. So in that 2 enemy scenario, the requirement is met. You hit the first enemy, it bounces 3 times, that's 4 total hits. The initial and the 3 bounces, meaning you get the full 100 bonus health. And since it's on a 6-second cooldown and there's a ton of grouped enemies, you can refresh that bonus health consistently in team fights. So it's not just about damage, it's now a core part of his survivability. It's really good. So you're going to use this just like the Crescent Dart, but it's easier to land. It's a secondary spam tool. It also has a melee, the triple Eclipse. It's your V controller, click the right stick in. It has 3 animations, double hit with his sticks, a double hit, and then both come together for a single hit that launches up. When he does the double swing, each of those hits deals 18 damage, so 36 for the double hit. It goes 36, 36, but that final one is 60, the launch up. It's a 132 damage melee combo. It's not bad. Do you want to be using it all the time? No, but it's there. Sometimes enemies get in melee range. You know that you have the 132 damage output and you can pull it off. And the last melee doing 60 is really good. Now let's get into his movement. Rising Leap. Space. Controller's A. It's a double jump. You hit it again. It's on a 6-second cooldown. Use it to get to high places. Use it to evade. Say a dive happens on you. You can throw an Ankh on the ground, jump up out of the way, jump to high ground. Most of the time, use it to kind of get to different areas of the map. It's very useful. Next is a Moonlight Hook, the grapple. It's your F, controller it's B, or circle. This got a recent buff. It has a max grapple hook length of 25 meters and a max distance of 21.5. They sped up the Moonlight Hook pull startup time after the hit from 0.4 seconds to 0.015. It's a lot faster. Once that grapple hits, you fly. Much needed for his kit, a lot more snappy. Again, use this to get to high places. Use it to evade. Maybe you jump, you're in midair, you can grapple a wall to come back. Even from the ground. If you grapple the ground in front of you, it kind of pops you forward with momentum, or even better, if you look straight down, you get like a super jump. You fly way up into the air. It's a great way to use it. So you don't have your double jump, you need to get above into a high place. That's what you do. Or maybe you're on high ground, you get chased, you could drop off of your high ground, then grapple straight down to pop back up. And both these abilities, after you use the grapple or after you use the double jump, you can use the glide. He travels at 8.3 meters a second, up from his base 6 meter movement. And once you're up in the air, he slowly descends. So from high ground, say you're on a walkway, you can just walk off of it and hold the glide. Some maps like the new one, you can just glide down the choke points at the beginning. You can use it after a double jump or a grapple, and this helps you get away or just travel faster. All of his movement is great, and each one has a place. A lot of time it's to get away, or get to high ground. Moon Knight has arguably one of the worst team-ups in the game, but it's not a total loss. It's on a 30-second cooldown, it's with Cloak and Dagger. Once you pop it, it lasts for 6 seconds. When you pop it, there's a 4-meter spherical bubble. Inside of it, you can't be seen, so you're invisible, but you're also granted 25 healing a second. So you can get 150 health if you stay inside that bubble. And you're going to see Moon Knights use this. You can too, maybe just up on a ledge, on an off angle. They have height. That way they don't know their exact position within the bubble. That's good. That way a Hawkeye can't take them out or something. Like, you can do that, but I use it 2 ways. One is being chased, or I need to get away. I'll pop the bubble down. They don't know which side of the bubble I'm exiting, so that's beneficial. Or maybe I get dove. I can pop the bubble on us, and I can try to take over the situation from there, either by double jumping in the air, grappling up and away, or grappling the ground and pop straight up in the air. That's when I try to use it. Or I need healing. There's no one around. It's not great, but using those key parts is beneficial, I think. The healing and the last-ditch effort to try to get away. His ultimate is still great, even though it's been changed a number of times, and this is where it's at right now. The Hand of Khonshu. Open a portal that allows Khonshu to bombard enemies with his talons. It lasts for 4.5 seconds. It's got a 5-meter spherical radius. There's 4 hits a second, 18 total hits. They drop down from 8 meters in the air. Now, right in the center, they deal 150 damage per hit, and the damage fall off is very extreme. It starts at 1.5 meters and then 70% fall off at 5 meters. This is the outer circle, and that's just a big damage reduction. It takes it from 150 damage to 45, but there's 18 of them. So even if they're hitting for 45, that's 810 damage in that outer area. And it's a bit deceiving because the entire launch area is like 20 meters wide. But the talons, again, they come down focused in that little 5 meters circle that they do. All the damage is tied to being center. You want your main targets to be in the center. And just like the Ankh, you do want to be up high so that way you can see the field. Or if there's no high ground, you could double jump or use that grapple on the ground to launch yourself straight up in the air. That way you can see a little bit better. Because right after you throw this ult, you're going to throw an Ankh. The whole goal is to pull them closer to the center point. That way you can deal the max damage, that 150. So you're going to throw the ult, throw the Ankh right after, then you're going to spam the Ankh with your attacks, the Crescent Dart and the Blade. It's a spammy ult. Like I said, you get it extremely fast if you're landing shots. And it can also take out supports in their ult if you keep them inside the center. It's a powerful ultimate, and you can just focus down key targets as well. Find their supports, ult them, Ankh them, get them out of the way. First off, I want to reiterate, Moon Knight's a perfect counter to Loki, the Jeff or Rocket with Groot combo. Even no more sometimes, depending on where his squids are, because you can use the squid as a bounce anchor. So keep all that in mind, especially if you see Loki a lot. I mean, Moon Knight's just his hard counter. But Moon Knight is basically an assassin. He's sneaky, annoying, and deadly, and yes, he can carry games. But most players have been conditioned to see him a certain way, and that kind of holds them back, I think. Once you understand the playstyle I'm getting ready to go over, how to get the most out of his kit, I can all but guarantee you start having better games with him, because he does things the other heroes can't. If you play to his strengths, stop holding him back. We already broke down the kit, so now the playstyle builds off of that, and you're going to be squeezing everything that you can out of his abilities, and start stacking strength after strength of what it's good at. So let's start with something that just might look brainless. I mean, it kind of is brainless, but look at how fast you can just melt something. So the Ankh, spam the Ankh with the Moonblade, the Crescent Dart, spam it all. You delete them. It's fast. And it looks easy because, yeah, it is. I mean, I'm hitting them in a vacuum here. They're not moving, but don't let that fool you. You can replicate this. You can and will do this in real matches over and over. And here's how. When you approach a team fight, it is best to be on the ground with your team, firing into their front line. You want to play this way because the team fights happen all the time around the payload or a team holding you back from a zone. Wherever there are choke points, the choke points mean there's always going to be multiple targets to hit. So more targets means more bounce potential, and more bounce means more damage. So as we talked about, you're leaving the Ankh behind. This is the most damage you get out of your darts and your Moonblade. Most importantly, it's how you're building your ultimate very fast with all this damage and all these hits and bounces. When you're doing this, you're doing more than just poking. It's constant pressure, and Moon Knight actually creates a little bit of space. His pressure is overwhelming in groups, and this forces the enemy to respond. They feel it. The healers have to start going to overtime, keeping people up, because it's not just you doing damage, you have a team as well. So their healers are trying to keep up with the damage that you're putting out, your team is putting out, and every second that you're on the ground spamming your damage into their team, you're controlling that fight, you're controlling that engagement, you're doing exactly what you want. You're not trying to set up a perfect combo, you're just maximizing Moon Knight's raw output. That's the goal early on, but once you've softened them up, you're getting some ult charge, it's time to do what you're best at. So you're gonna go silent for a second, and you're going to find an off angle. That's either by grappling, using the double jump, getting up high, or getting around them, getting behind them. In the enemy's mind, you're still peppering the front line, because that's what you've been doing. They've been busy healing the damage that you've already done. But before they know it, you're gone, and then suddenly you're on top of them. Remember how I said you could replicate that brainless damage just consistently? This is that moment. They have no idea where you went. Their attention hasn't been on you. They're aware of you, but their attention hasn't been on you. You drop the Ankh behind them, between them, if there's more, that's fine too, and you just clean them up. So the Ankh, Crescent Dart, and Blade spam. That's the key to Moon Knight. It's not just damage, it's the timing. It's attacking when no one's paying attention to you. Like, that's your job, that is your goal. Keep that in your mind. You need to find players that aren't paying attention, and you punch them for that, because that whole play loop is designed to provoke and manipulate attention. You're drawing eyes to the front line, putting in massive pressure, then you disappear momentarily to clean up the real threat and the main targets. And Moon Knight's kit just allows him to deal consistent damage. Frontlining really isn't even risky. You just hit something and you're contributing because it bounces. You're building ultimate fast. You're keeping their healers busy. You're doing a lot more than people realize. And then while they're scrambling to heal the mess that you caused, you're already moving. You find a new angle, you punish another mistake. That's the rhythm, that's the loop over and over. New angles, new positions. His kit allows it. Maybe you go to the other side. Maybe you go to a different building, a different high ground. Just keep doing it over and over. Frontline spam, build ultimate charge, do the ultimate when it comes up, find an angle, assassinate, drop back down to ground level, or find another angle, just do it again. Always moving, always pressuring. And being on the ground has another benefit as well. You're in range for your team to heal you more, because you're not up in a building, you're not in a little post, you're right with them, and that also means you can peel if needed. He's not a great answer, but he does have some play. If you can actually communicate to your supports, throw the Ankh on them and say, hey, stay on the Ankh. Or maybe throw the Ankh to try to CC one of their abilities. That's not your main job though, but you can help. But in big chaotic team fights, that's where you really shine, like especially when an ult goes off. A Doctor Strange, let's say, and it's your team or their team. It doesn't matter, just an ult goes off, people lose focus, and that's when you punish, because they're distracted, they're scrambling, they're not really paying attention to you anymore, they're paying attention to what just happened. That's where you do your real work. And as you play this way, you're going to see that the presence is the pressure and your threat is constant. And you need to reach a point where the enemy team's asking themselves, where's Moon Knight? Because if you're playing him right, you're going to be everywhere. But even just the core play loop, like look at this. This was a competitive match. In overtime, they did their push, and I was originally on Black Widow to counter their storm. They had banned Hela. I did well, we stopped them before the first point. Then came their defense. We need to push the point. Their triple support included a Loki with triple tank. Their entire comp was built to survive. Well, I swapped to Moon Knight. In the opening engagements, I stayed on ground level, just as we haven't talked about. And I've shown you a lot of clips of going ground to top to ground. I stayed on ground level because the pressure and damage was so severe and high. I got my ultimate in under a minute. Getting downs, I kind of fast forwarding some of it. Then I got a second ultimate, also in about a minute. There's more downs. I didn't even go for any off angles to try to really take out their supports because I didn't need to. It was so much pressure. My team was dealing damage, and all the damage I was doing, slowly creating space. And it got to a point where they couldn't keep up anymore. And then when the space really opened up, I went to an off angle. I got on top of this building, and right there is the backline Luna. Completely unaware, she's not paying attention to me, and I did what we've been talking about. I dropped her, and we ended up winning the match. Moon Knight is crazy good. Always incorporate anything that you learn. Adapt to situations, evolve, but this loop is very real and very effective. Constant movement, heavy frontline pressure, you slip away, do some assassinations, you return. Apply more pressure, find a new angle, assassinate again, over and over. That's the Moon Knight flow. And once you get it down, you can start carrying games. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about Moon Knight down below. And as always, share your tips, help each other out. Thank you for watching. And until the next one, I am CoolGuy.